Hi there, I'm Sam Flegal. We've been talking for a little while about my art, Norse mythology, Fateful Signs, and I want to tell you a little more about why I do what I do. I'm sure it's no surprise that I love drawing, painting, and Norse mythology. Obviously, Fateful Signs grew out of a combination of all those things, as well as my love of telling stories. But I want to take you a little bit back when I was a young man, as I was in college my first semester. You see, I'd grown up in Nashville, Tennessee, but then I traveled and went to college at Mississippi State in Starkville, Mississippi. I didn't know a lot of people, and because I was alone, I chose to spend a lot of my time in the library, mostly in the religion and mythology section, where I read a ton. You see, I had those same questions that many young people had about where their place was in the universe and who they were. For me, the lore of the Norse just really connected. Norse mythology hit me in a way that the other religions just didn't. You see, there was trees and snow and stories that made sense to me, and these tales, they just resonated so strongly. I realized that my love of fantasy and D&D had its roots right here, and I just got it. And then years later, decades later actually, I became a father, and I started asking those questions again. What did I want to teach my daughter? What did I believe? Once again, I found myself looking towards the lore of the Northmen. This led me on quite a journey. This time I would discover that the lore of these people stretched from the United Kingdom across Northern Europe over into Russia. And that while there were regional differences, these were one people, at least from one root people that traveled and migrated all over, and they had these similar stories. There were names like Odin, Wotan, Woden, Othin, Thor, Thunor, Donner. They sounded slightly different, but also slightly the same. It was a single people that were many people. My ancestors, as well as the ancestors of many folk. This discovery resonated with me strongly. I used to think that being a white person in America meant I was a mutt, something I think a lot of Americans feel. Suddenly, I had this stronger sense of culture and self, a personal and family history that stretched back thousands of years. And although it was the stories of the Norse that drew me in, I would come to understand that it was much more about my family history, my family stories, and this sense of purpose. And that brings us back to Fateful Signs. I knew that I wanted to share this purpose with others, to tell a modern story about modern people who were here right now, but connect it back to this earlier time and to this ancient lore. I wanted to create something new out of something old, to speak to you right here, right now, with our roots that run so deep. Many Americans do feel we're a little lost. The Europeans I've spoke with, they see it, and they often talk about our lack of roots, but this just isn't so. We have roots that run across an ocean and deep into the past. It only seems right to me that the Vikings, who were such great travelers, would leave their mark across oceans of time. Fateful signs are what Odin saw as he hung from the great world tree. Fateful signs are the legends of the gods and ancestors carried down to us through the winds of time. Fateful signs can be sought with runes carved and made red. Fateful signs are the words and deeds of the lore of the Norse. And I want to share it with you. If you want to dive deep and get to see process and research that goes into my work, Patreon is the best place to do that. Take a moment and go to patreon.com/samflegal and become a part of the community there. The members of the Fateful Sign community get to see early process photos and videos before anyone else, as well as exclusive content that I only feel comfortable sharing on Patreon. It's also my favorite place on the internet to talk about Norse mythology. So come and join us. I think you'll fit right in. Thank you.